Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Bengal Tiger Podcast. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Shea Dixon. Shea, LSU defeats Missouri 49-39 in a game that had a lot of twists, a lot of turns, drama, and after all of that, LSU gets the win and improves to 3-1 in conference play and 4-2 on the year. How are we feeling?
That's a dub. That's a dub. You got to believe Brian Kelly you may not believe his injury reports when he lists people as questionable or doubtful, and then people play or don't, but do believe him when he tells you things in the offseason like, our secondary is our weakness. I don't know what we have there. And then when he says things like after the loss to Ole Miss, after the loss to FSU, after a close call to Arkansas, that this is a week-to-week battle. You just went on the road, beat a 5-0 team that's in the SEC, in the top 25, that has a potent passing offense and entered the game with the leading above Malik, above Brian Thomas, LSU's receivers. Luther Burden led the country in receiving. He obviously did have a massive game, 149 yards, no touchdowns, but you knew you were going up against that and you won. So this is a celebration. This is a celebration podcast, Matty B. This is a week-to-week effort for this LSU team. You went up and dropped nearly 50 and got a dub, and we're about to talk about it. Oh, and your defense, yes, gave up 39, but boy, did they not come up with some stops. And that's all LSU fans have asked. I don't want to hear any complaining right now about a defense. No defense is going to change completely 1 week to the next. LSU fans said, give us a couple of stops. LSU's defense did just that.
Yep. After starting the game, Missouri 3 straight touchdowns to start. It looked like it was going to be more of the same.
Oh boy, that was felt like
Yeah,
it was going to be a long one.
exactly. And then I don't want to say they locked in because Missouri still got some yards, but for the most part, from that point on, they scored 17 points. From the last Missouri touchdown after on those 3 straight touchdowns was what was it? 10:47 left in the second quarter. So from that point on, they scored 17 points the rest of the game. That includes 2 interceptions. That includes 2 punts, 2 missed field goals, all of those things. Again, it wasn't a perfect game by the defense even after those 3 touchdowns, but they did enough. They did everything we asked, and they got enough stops. Held them to 39 points. Like, that's literally the bar right now, is to hold teams to less than 40, because this offense is so good, it will win the game if you hold a team to less than 40 points.
We've got some excited dogs over here. I believe that the mailman's here.
I'll take it. I'll take it until they calm down.
They're excited. They saw a big game today. All right, maybe they're still talking. All right, they're good now, I think. Maybe not. Matty B, take it for a minute.
Yeah, I'll take it. Let's start with that. Let's start with the offense. Obviously, Jayden Daniels, 15 of 21 passing, 259 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Jayden Daniels is where you start when talking about this defense, about this offense, and his toughness, his accuracy, his poise, his legs, all of the above make him one of the best players in the country. Like, bar none, he is playing at a Heisman level. Whether he's going to get the recognition for it or not, I don't know. But in a game where Missouri looked like they were content letting LSU run the ball, which it did. LSU ran the ball with Logan Diggs 24 times, and Jayden Daniels rushed it 15 times, a lot of those being designed runs. Jayden Daniels continuously made something out of nothing, continuously fought through pain, fought through a bruised rib, which I don't know how you throw the ball with a bruised rib, considering how much you have to turn your body and contort. And then he continued to run the ball after getting injured, and just fought through everything and delivered this team with touchdown after touchdown. Jayden Daniels, I mean, he's been sensational this entire year, but this was truly a special performance.
If you didn't watch the game, I don't know how to explain it to you other than I tried to explain it in a tweet form with the x-rays came back on Jayden's rib injury, and everyone, if you're familiar with meme culture, the X-ray of the rib cage that has nothing but pit bulls in it, straight dog. If you're even deeper, maybe into the Reddit side of things, or you're more old school, it was the Greg Jennings video game, broken leg, running down the field. I put the team on
Yep.
my back, yo. Gumby, if you know what I'm referencing,
Yeah.
because I'm deep into every level of pop culture here. But this was knocked out. Like, let's not undersell this, Matty B. Knocked out of the game on a late hit, which it was so back and forth there that, like, they're at the goal line. They were bad snapping galore because Charles Turner got hurt, and then they got Marlon Martinez into the game and eventually finished with DJ Chester, a true freshman at center.
Yep.
They're dealing with all this. He takes one around, kind of almost, if I remember, kind of a busted play in a way, takes it around in, scores. They call Pimpton for holding, true freshman. They had all the tight ends in. Bang, bang play. The refs were terrible on both sides. I have no clue what the referees were doing today.
Weird.
They call a hold in this spot. Jayden crosses into the end zone. He knows nobody's tackling him. So he just stands there, and within a second, it's bang. He's drilled in the back. He's out of the game. Nussmeier is in. Now you're backed up. They could have had what should have been a flag on or a flag on a late hit there on Jayden Daniels. Would have been negating penalties. You would have been back at the 1. Instead, Nussmeier's in the game. You're way backed up. You've got another bad snap now. Ramos comes in. He'd been very good. He misses a field goal that went right over the top of the bar of the upright. And now all of a sudden you felt like, whoa, we just took the game, and now we've missed the field goal, and it feels like Jayden's hurt. Missouri's going to run away with this. And that's why I say don't undersell it, because here comes Jayden Daniels for those next 2 drives, and it was straight up gritty. Him running it, him ripping dimes to Malik Neighbors on that one across the middle, hit him for a touchdown on another. It was one of the better performances. I have my calculator. Let's see what it was. I don't know. People can do the math. 259 and 130 is 359.
389.
389 and 4.
Yeah.
He put the team on his back again. And remember, in the first half, they did, and we can touch on this briefly or however much you want. In the first half, they were very content to run it. They were Logan Diggsing this game to death. Daniels only had 8 attempts. So in the second half, injured in the fourth quarter, he steps up and gets you 2 touchdowns. Unbelievable performance by the best player on LSU's team. And Matty B, I think we can make a case one of the best players in college football right now.
Absolutely. Again, the 2 losses will, at least for the moment, void him of most Heisman discussions. But in a college football landscape where there's not a dominant team, there's not one team that you're like, oh, that's a 15-0 football team. I mean, if LSU ends the year 10-2 or even 9-3, and Jayden Daniels is, leading the country in passing, or has the most combined yards, like, that is Heisman level play. And even if he doesn't get the Heisman, that is a Heisman level performance, what he just did there. And I don't say that as that just being a great performance. That is an all-time performance from Jayden Daniels right there. So a credit to him. Like you said, Logan Diggs, 24 carries, 134 yards. Right when we think last week and the week before, it's like, man, Logan Diggs, man, 20 carries, he's doing all this stuff. He continues to get more workload and does more with that, and continues to be efficient with almost 6 yards per carry. Like, he just finds ways to get gritty yards and get first downs, and it's massively important to this team. And credit to the offensive line. I think the run blocking from the offensive line has been very good this year. I don't give them enough credit. But yeah, Diggs, offensive line, the run game in general, obviously Jayden Daniels included, that is a really, really elite run game.
I'm trying to pull up the tweet I had. You talked about increasing workload. Here's what he's done in SEC play. Logan Diggs transfer from Notre Dame. Remember a year ago, Matty B, this team could throw the ball. And people got mad it wasn't the deep game, but Jayden was efficient. They moved it. They just couldn't run it if it wasn't Jayden. You take Logan Diggs, and before the season, I said, and I'm not going to lump you into this. I can't remember exactly what you said. I said this will be a running back by committee again for the second year in a row. It's going to be Josh Williams. It's going to be Emory. It's going to be some Kane, and it's going to be what Diggs can do. I could not have been more wrong. Here's your SEC play for Logan Diggs. In order: State, 12 touches, 71 yards. The next week, Arkansas, 15 touches, 100. The next week, Ole Miss, 21 touches, 123 and 2 touchdowns. This week, Missouri, we say they leaned on him, 24 touches, 134 yards, 1 touchdown. I'm combining his catches and rushes, obviously. It all counts the same. So every week, as you said, he has gotten more of a workload and the production goes up. And when you talk about one of the best passing offenses in college football, which LSU has, you throw in that element, not even the element that Jayden Daniels is the best dual threat quarterback in America. He's already going to beat you. But you have a running back that goes for 100 a game. Like we were taking all bettors that Jayden would lead this team in rushing. He did not entering the week. It was not by many yards, and he doesn't leaving the week. So kudos again to Logan Diggs for stepping up. It's very easy, and we should be talking about Jayden Daniels. We should be talking about Malik and Brian Thomas and what they've done for this team. We should be talking about the O-line. But shout out Logan Diggs for just getting in there and taking over as the guy.
Louisiana running backs. Am I right? Louisiana running backs.
You are right. Louisiana receivers and running backs.
Yep.
Don't sleep on them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about this. First half, your thoughts on just how it unfolded, because it felt down it was 25-17 at half. That's 8. It felt like down 8 at half was a massive win when Missouri came out and scored 3 straight touchdowns very easily on the first 3 drives of the game. And you had those sequences of events, Maddie B, right before half that led to you cutting it to just 8 points.
Yeah, that was LSU comes out, gets 2 3-and-outs out of the first 3 possessions. Ends up getting a long field goal from Bramblett to put him at 10, and then gets the touchdown with 2 minutes left in the half to get to 17. And it was 22-17. Everyone was like, okay, if you go to half down 5, considering the way Missouri was playing, it felt like a huge win. Even when Missouri got that field goal, which knuckled in, didn't. It was like, okay, everything felt like it was going in
no
Missouri's way.
hating on big boy kickers. That kid's like a D lineman kicker.
No hating, no hating. He made up for it eventually for LSU fans. Missed a couple, but regardless, like it felt like everything was going Missouri's way, and to be down 8, if you knew that the first possession of the second half was going to decide this game in a lot of ways, and Missouri worked its way down the field, went 48 yards in 9 plays, ends up taking a field goal and misses, and from that point on, I felt like LSU was in the driver's seat. From then on, it was like LSU's offense is continuing to roll. The defense made enough plays. We'll talk about the defense a good amount as well. But yeah, that's kind of when it turned for me, was when they missed the field goal. And then I believe LSU went right back down and scored and continued to kind of chip away as the game went on. Like that, the offense was never a question for me. They were just going to score every time they got the ball. The question was, can the defense get enough stops?
Yeah, and that's what, again, the offense today, even with a different approach, and even by running the ball heavily in the first half, trying to minimize, I should say, maybe how many offensive possessions Missouri had, or just knowing Missouri was going to defend the pass and that they could take what they could if they weren't stacking the box. Being down 8 at half was great. I tweeted this out at halftime. I said it on the board. Matt House was just so great last year at halftime adjustments. And we haven't seen it come through yet this year. And it was like, when will that happen? And they come out of it in the second half. Again, first half, touchdown, then a huge pick, then field goal, as you noted, as time expired. Missouri comes out in the third quarter, missed a field goal, punted, scored a touchdown at the end of the third quarter, came out in the fourth, punted, scored another touchdown. Obviously, that's when things got tight again.
Yep.
And then LSU finishes out the game, turnover on downs, pick, and then Missouri tried a field goal at the very end just to see if they could do anything to get up some points, get an onside kick, throw a Hail Mary. But they were out of time. LSU buried them with a pick 6 to go up by 10. That is the second half you need to have. And this is, look, I'm going to read you. I'm going to be very honest here. It was another, for the second week in a row, the two teams go for 1,000 yards plus. Yes, Missouri scored 500 or had 500 plus total yards. Yes, they passed for 5 yards short of 400 yards on you. Yes, they scored 3 straight times coming out of in the game on the first 3 possessions. But this progress, Matty B, in my opinion, has to be viewed in a linear sense. Any progress, any stops are good. That is progress for this LSU defense. Because you can look a week ago or the week prior against Arkansas, there were no stops. Like the offense was just going to have to outscore them. They actually came up with stops. They came up with turnovers. They came up with big plays. I don't know if you want to go into the details or wait for film review, but even Brian Kelly said after the game that he thought that they finally settled into that zone defense in the second half and that was a difference after playing a good bit of man in the first half.
Yeah, I do think the zone stuff, and I can't get too deep, but yeah, the zone seemed to click a little bit. There were I am not coming around on this defense being good, obviously. I'm not even coming around on them being sufficient to beat Alabama or beat A&M at this point. They need to continue to improve. They need to be better. But this was enough to get a win that this team desperately needed. And I wrote about it in the post game in my reactions. Like my big picture takeaway from this game was the resiliency of the defense specifically, but of the entire team. Last year, you knew this team could buckle down and get stops when it needed to. It wasn't perfect. It was up and down. Sure, they weren't deep, but with the experience in the secondary that we talked about at length throughout the week, Greg Brooks, Mekhi Gardner, Derek Bernard Converse, go down the list. With the experience of that team, there was a built-in resilience that we saw from game 1 against Florida State 2 years ago. Like that we saw that day in and day out. This year we hadn't seen that. Florida State punches them in the face to start the second half. They never recovered. Ole Miss continuously punched them in the face. Defense never recovered. Like we hadn't seen that resilience, that resistance from a team that, as much as fans, and I can understand why, people get annoyed by Brian Kelly saying it's a young defense and stuff like that. It's like, okay, it's young, but is it really that young? It is an inexperienced defense, bottom line. And just because you have Major Burns and Andre Sam out there doesn't make it an experienced unit there. They had to learn how to be resilient. They had to learn how to overcome adversity. And I think this was a massive step forward in that department. So that's my big takeaway. I still don't think it's a great defense, but this was a really good sign moving forward into the back half of the year.
Of course, not perfect at all, as I noted, but just get some stops. Harold Perkins pick, massive in the first half.
He's incredible.
To stop the bleeding. He had a breakout game. We're going to talk about our revisiting the game balls here in a bit, but that was massive. I'll also go through my kind of doing a new story this week, but I'll give everyone a little tease, and you and I can talk about it, Matty B, of the 5 plays that I thought won the game for LSU. But anything else quickly before we hit an ad break on the first half, or general thoughts? Because really the drama comes in the second half and the fourth quarter.
Yeah. LSU had those drops too. They had the holding penalties. Like it really felt like a game LSU was not in a position to win. Referees,
Missouri had
like,
some drops too. It was
yeah, it was very much a choppy game that felt like LSU was not comfortable at times. But that's what happens. I mean, when you have Jayden Daniels and like the talent that this team has, you can kind of just will yourself to win sometimes. So that's really good. And shout out to Luther Burden from Missouri, man. That guy is a stud. So that's
no touchdowns,
no
but boy,
touchdowns.
did he put up 150 plus, which even some people this week, Matty B, were of the degenerate folks who were out there trying to gamble on the game. Were saying that the highest they were offering for receiving yards was 150 plus on Burden, and they were very tempted to take it. He hit it. So congrats to those people. Look, as we do each week, My Perfect Franchise sponsors our reaction podcast. Andy Ludicky and the folks there are great. Andy runs pretty much everything from top to bottom in terms of interacting with customers. And it is exactly what you think it is. Andy's been in the franchise business for decades. And his message to us is pass the word along. Being a franchisee or being involved in a franchise at any level, even as a small partner, much easier than people think. Are you ready to leave the corporate rat race for the American dream? Is it just a side hustle you're looking for with your current job? It's diversifying. It's building wealth. Do you want to leave a legacy to your kids? Do you want to set your kids up with getting into a potential franchise? All of that and more, Andy's here for. He can help. He's a franchise consultant. Like I said, he has been for decades. Here's the best part. Everything with his services are free when it comes to reaching out, asking questions, and getting the rundown on just what you might be interested in or what road you could go down. So hit up Andy. It's very easy. Andy, Andy, at myperfectfranchise.net. You can call him at 404-973-9901 or visit myperfectfranchise.net. So shout out to Andy. Again, we've already had a number of people reach out to him just asking questions. A number of people who are involved already in franchises have reached out to talk about their experience and where maybe they can improve some things. So give Andy a call again, Andy Ludicky at 404-973-9901 or at andy@myperfectfranchise.net. Shoot him an email or visit the website. So appreciate all they do for us and all of the LSU supporters and fans out there who are showing him love and reaching out. So with that being said, Matty B, I want to do a couple of things here. I want to revisit our game balls, but I also want to revisit and try to give people a glimpse here of what I consider to be the biggest plays of the game. So let's start off with this. And I really think that the majority of them happened late in the game, in the second half, however you want to put it. But I'll start it off. LSU had been running, and we were in the live thread on the board. If you're not a member of the Bengal Tiger, it's $1 to join for a month. And the live threads alone are worth it. LSU fans are in there popping off, play-by-play reaction, and everyone said, we've been setting them up on the run, setting them up, pop a pass here. They give one run to Logan Diggs, I believe it was. Then they bring Malik Neighbors over, fake the little like we're going this way, kind of play action even style, and then just boomed him Brian Thomas deep. I believe it went for 42 yards.
Yep.
And that gave LSU its first lead of the day. That came with, let's see, 6 minutes left in the third quarter. LSU goes up 27-25.
Yeah.
Massive moment. I thought that could be argued as maybe the biggest moment because it felt like if they didn't get that, Missouri could start taking off.
And that's what I was talking about, like, when the game started swinging and then when Jayden Daniels hit that pass and the offense just that's when you knew the offense was comfortable. That's when you knew Missouri, like you said, has started playing the run considerably more at this point when Logan Diggs and Jayden Daniels were gashing them. So that was a huge play, and it's always good to see Brian Thomas continue to build that lead he has on the nation in receiving touchdowns. What's he up to now? 9?
Yeah, he came in with 8. So if he had one today, that'd be 9.
Yeah.
Take me through this. This would be the I'm going through 5 of them. That's 1. 3rd and 3, 35-yard run by Jayden Daniels with less than 8 minutes to play comes off of when he was put back into the game with a rib injury and had to start at his own 8-yard line with a backup center that had just then been hit with a holding call. And it felt like, man, right when they could grab some momentum, it shot.
And like that drive, you're talking about the touchdown run, right? Or you're talking about the first one? Because he had 2 runs that drive that were
correct.
massive.
This is the Daniels rushing touchdown that came from 3rd and 3 from 35 yards out. He also did hit Neighbors on a huge play on that drive.
Yeah,
and he picked up the first down with his legs.
Exactly. That's how. So he gets the first down. I think it was on a 3rd down with his legs first, and then he gets Malik, and then he runs it in. Like, it was the ultimate Jayden Daniels drive, and I couldn't believe how much designed run. Which, I think that was a designed run, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or was that a? It was.
I think it was.
I think it was. Like, regardless, I couldn't remember. I couldn't believe how much designed running they were doing with Jayden Daniels after he just injured his ribs. And I understand you tell a guy to get down and stuff, but if he takes one more shot, that is serious pain. You're not coming back from that. So he was looking to run. The coaches were looking to run. Like, he was an ultimate competitor there, and that run, the touchdown run especially, I mean, capitalized. He got hit as he was falling into the end zone too, and he like crawls like forward once he gets in, and I'm like, this is incredible.
That was that moment where he gets put back in the game, and RG3 was on the call, and people can love RG3 or hate him for his color commentary, but as a former quarterback who's obviously been through it all and injuries, he said, look, a rib injury like this, you wince when you walk, let alone if you're torquing to throw the football or if you're trying to take off. And as he's saying these things, Daniels picks up that third down from the shadows of LSU's own goal line. He rips maybe his best pass of the day on that route to Malik Neighbors across the middle, just hit him in stride. And then he has that 30, whatever it was, 35-yard run on 3rd and 3 to get the touchdown. That put LSU back ahead 35-32, just massive. Then you come around to the next time around, and it almost felt like the same sequence again. You knew Jayden was hurt. He goes out there, rips off a run, 31 yards on 3rd and 5. And we're under 4 minutes now, Matty B. It is crunch time. He rips off another big third down run. This one going for 31. Then he scrambles out to the right side, finds a wide open Malik Neighbors, 29 yards. LSU retakes the lead. What are you thinking in these moments now as, boy, it went from Nussmeier's in the game to Jayden just came back in with a rib injury and led you to back-to-back, bang, huge touchdown drives?
Yeah, this is where I wasn't sure of the rhythm of the offense. Obviously, I think the offensive line deserves a lot of credit again for what the performance it had. Just in general, I know Marlon Martinez wasn't great. Charles Turner wasn't great. He gets injured. DJ Chester comes in and was fine. There were question marks there, but everywhere else, I thought just held up incredibly well. And I'll go back and look at it with a little bit more depth, but that set the tone, and then Daniels running just opens up the game. For a quarterback to rush for 130 yards the way that he did, I just was floored, absolutely floored.
Play number 4 here, and this is where we switch it over to how LSU, beyond the offense wins them the game because they score 49, but these are the 2 plays that win it on defense. And what was such a, again, if you didn't watch the game, it was so like the referees were involved, everyone was getting flagged. This dumb, if you clap on defense and the other team uses a clap for their cadence on counts, you're getting flagged. I've watched college football all year. I may have seen that called once. It got called like 4 times in this game or something on both teams. And honestly, I thought on both times it looked like the defensive guy, like Sage and them, were trying to like get guys' attention by hitting and being like, are you in the right spot, or just get them pumped up. It didn't look like they were trying to fake a snap count on them. Hate that rule. But Missouri immediately after that Neighbors wide open touchdown, LSU goes up by 3. They hit Theo Weiss, 25-yard gain. They get to midfield. And clock's ticking, and it's like, okay, well, they're going to at least get 3 and tie this game, if not score. All of a sudden, after that play, 9-yard gain sets up a 2nd and 1. They have a huge play that forces 3rd and 1, where Luther Burden, I guess, drops it. Mason Smith broke that pass up, intended for Luther Burden. And then Connor Tolson gets hit with an illegal snap. Again, like I said, the referees were very involved here. 3rd and 6, and this is where the play comes. Your man that you loved all offseason, Braden Swinson, comes off the edge, gets the strip sack. They end up recovering it, but it puts them at 4th and forever. That really felt like, okay, LSU has a chance to win now.
It felt like, I don't want to speak too hastily, but it felt like the dagger. It felt like the LSU was going to be able to win this game. Now, I say that with Missouri clearly having 3 timeouts left, and but I thought LSU might be able to get a first. I just thought there was a lot of ways LSU wins the game, and it was the dagger to a degree, because if Missouri converts that first down, then they probably go down, at least get 3, if not win the game. So, yeah, Braden Swinson there. Then they end up going for it on 4th and 35, and do not get it. They get 25 or so, but yeah, no.
I think that 4th and 35 play for Missouri in the final minutes summed up how LSU fans feel, or the emotional roller coaster they've been on this season. Because if you're a middle of the road defense to an excellent defense, if you've got a Missouri team backed up on their own side of the field at 4th and 35 with the game on the line, you're like, well, unless they hit a Hail Mary, they're not getting this, and they're probably not anyways.
Yeah.
LSU fans are on the edge of their seat, Matty B, thinking, all right, can the defense even stop a 4th and 35? I think they got like 33 or 34 yards on that play. They run a hook and ladder. ultimately gets brought down short of the sticks. So yes, that sequence where Swinson gets that and it leads to the fourth down and forever. What did you say? 4th and 36.
I think it was 4th and 35. Yeah, something like that.
4th and 35 comes up short. So the LSU gets back the ball with 1:06 left. At this point, are you cool with what they do? They just kill the clock. Well, there was a bad snap too.
There was a
That
bad
Jayden
snap.
Daniels had to fall
Or
on.
not a bad snap. Yeah, not a bad snap.
Or he mishandled it.
Yeah, read option, it kinda gets batted out, and they end up recovering it. Now, if Missouri gets that ball, then
Woo!
then we start talking like this is not good. Because honestly, if somebody would've got the ball, they might have been gone. But regardless, after the fumble on 2nd down, you had no choice there really but to run it, so I was fine with that. The 1st down play, I was fine with running it. 2nd down happened, 3rd down, you had to do what you do. So, I didn't have a problem with it. Ideally, you would, try to throw to get a 1st down, but it was a tough
I
spot there.
thought
And then
maybe it had that play not happen where you get backed up. They might have tried a quick
yes.
passing play
Yeah.
or a roll, the old rollout with Mason Taylor and Malik right there too, where Daniels
Yeah.
keeps it or dumps it. I think they would have tried something. Regardless, they punt it. Shout out Bramplett. He had a bad punt in the game, but he punts it down. It gets to
Beauty.
the
5.
5-yard line. And I'll let you take it home from here. My 5th and final play that won it, Brady Cook, incomplete to Theo Weiss. And then what I did not see coming, Matty B, a 2nd down that results in what?
The Major Burns jumping route to Luther Burden and picking it off and running it home and putting the dagger in the game. Major Burns has been through the ups and the downs this year. He's not been great, but he's at the very least communicates well and does some things well. But that was good for him. And yeah, that pick 6 was really smooth. I thought he read the eyes well, and they're going to Luther Burden, and he just kind of baited it a little bit and then jumped it. So good for him.
Yeah, and look, good for Major Burns. He's a veteran. He struggled a bit. In fact, I saw this week's The Path episode for LSU focused on Major and the loss of his father growing up as he kind of went through high school. And he's had the long road, committed to LSU, got dropped, went to Georgia, came back to LSU, has been a multi-year starter, is very close friends with Greg Brooks, who's obviously battling brain cancer right now. And I know that was a hell of a moment for Major Burns. Also, shame on all the LSU fans. I could hear out there screaming when he picked it off, go down, as if even a pick with 10 seconds left or whatever just wouldn't be enough, a 10-point cushion to feel good about winning the game. But
Yeah.
Major gets the pick. And then what, Matty B? I think they hit one play for about 30 yards, but from there, they didn't move it anymore. They got the ball back. Major scored. There was 28 seconds left. LSU was up by 10, and they get the W. Like I said, a celebration podcast. Don't worry about them giving up 39 and over 500 yards. Worry that they just left there with their SEC West hopes still intact.
Look, I mean, if we continue with the positives outside of obviously just getting a win, that's 4 out of 6 games on the road. Like, that is a stretch of games where very few teams in the country are playing first, 4 of their first 6 games on the road. And now the back half, I believe, is 5 out of 6 at home, with Alabama being the only road game. That's correct, right? Florida's at home, A&M's at home,
Isn't that
Auburn's at
wild?
home. Yeah, Auburn, Army, and Georgia State. So 5 out of 6 at home now. I'm not saying, they're going to run the table and go 6-0, but you look at it, Alabama and A&M, while they are very good teams, LSU is going to have to play better than this to win those games. They're not unbeatable. So you do what you can. You try to fix up the defense, but the way this offense is playing, like I said, step off the bus, score 40 points. That's where I'm at with them right now. A&M and Bama will test that, obviously, but even if you get to 30 points on Bama and A&M, you have a really, really good chance of winning those games. So they're going to be in every game. But next week it's Auburn at home. I'm very, very excited for that one because that's where we'll continue to see the defense. And we get to see the defense not play an offense that has an elite quarterback or an elite offensive coordinator or an elite receiver. Like, they've gone through a really tough stretch here of playing from Florida State to Arkansas to Ole Miss to Missouri. Like, that's 4 games of really high-level offenses. And now you get to play Auburn to Army, and then even if you throw Alabama and A&M in there, I don't think those are elite offenses. So it can, optimism
I
on
think
the way.
I think the biggest thing you just said too, remember they were a team that struggled on the road a year ago. It's October 7th. The regular season ends in the final days of November. And so 2 months of football left, and you play one road game. Yes, it's Bama, but you play one road game. So you're 4-2, you're 3-1 in SEC play. That bodes well. Okay, let's revisit the game balls, then we'll wrap this up with some final thoughts. Offense, I picked Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas finished the game with a touchdown, 66 yards, caught 4 of his 5 targets. As we said, they leaned on the run game a good bit. Matty B, you picked Jayden Daniels. So congratulations.
Hey,
You win this one. He
let's
was the best
go.
player on the field. All right. No need to revisit that. Daniels was absolutely spectacular. Like we said, 4 total touchdowns and just put the team on his back.
Yeah.
Defensively, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah. My thinking going into the game was exactly kind of what happened with that. They were just gonna need to score 40-something points, and he was gonna have to be awesome, and that's what happened. So thank you for that. I feel like I'm accepting an award.
You should. Good job. You hit one. Defense, I chose Mekhi Wingo, who used to play for Missouri. He was going home. I'd have to watch the tape. I'm sure he had a fine game. I do know he had 3 tackles. The defensive line, I thought overall played much better. I don't know if this is the Pete Jenkins effect or not, but they were at least getting a little bit of pressure. They recorded a couple sacks. Like I said, a number of quarterback hurries. They had some pass breakups. And even a lot of that commotion probably helps lead to a couple of those interceptions, at least one of them with the Harold Perkins forced throw there that he picked off. But then you had
Whit Weeks.
Whit Weeks gets a start, finishes with 5 tackles. He did have a tackle for loss. I'm not sure. Who are we giving a game?
Harold Perkins was the best player on the defense to me.
There you go. I agree. So. Perkins' final line, you'll see it 3 tackles, but he had a tackle for loss. He had a pick. He had a pass breakup. He had a hurry. It also seemed that it was all timely and that he was around the ball a good bit, kind of creating a little bit of havoc. That's what you want to see. So Harold Perkins gets the nod. We've picked him plenty weeks. We didn't this year. It's okay. We'll get back to it. For the first time all year, we went the same person on special teams. We picked Damian Ramos. So do we win this one? Ramos attempted 3 field goals, hit a 48, hit a 29, missed a 29, but hits all his extra points. Your only other option here is going to be Bramplett. He downed 2 inside the 20. He did have a 50-yarder, but he also had one.
Hey, Caleb Jackson had a 45-yard return.
Okay, so we're throwing it. He did. He only had one return for 40. When was that in the game?
Second quarter? Off the top of my head, I think it was one of those first ones when Missouri scored 3. I think it was one of those. I can check. Let me check.
Here, I'll tell you right now.
Play start on the
Missouri first quarter.
Second quarter, 5:08. So I think it was after the 3rd Missouri touchdown, if I'm not mistaken.
What?
Or no, it was after. Oh no, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think it might have been in the 3rd quarter here.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. Let's search again here.
No, I'm pretty sure you're right.
Man, why are we blanking on this? When was that? I'm trying to see if that led to a touchdown.
Well, I'm looking at Missouri 45. There's 2 possessions that start at the Missouri 45. Oh, but we're looking at LSU. I don't know. Regardless, there was a long kickoff.
Okay. All right. Well, are you going to give it to him off of that, or are we going with Ramos?
We can stick with Ramos, I guess.
I thought that. I mean, he did have some big kicks, and I know people didn't want to settle for field goals in that game, but it at least kept them around. Obviously, whenever he hit all of those, his field goals came 2 good ones in the 2nd and 3rd, and then he missed that one in the 4th from 29 that obviously left it a little bit sticky down the stretch, but all was well because Jayden Daniels bailed him out. Okay. Final thoughts here as LSU moves to 4-2 on the year. You're at the midway point of the regular season. You remain ranked, obviously. You remain alive in the SEC West race. You obviously remain alive for a potential spot like at a near 6 bowl, something like that.
Yeah.
But Diggs, unbelievable. Daniels, unbelievable. Neighbors, 146 yards. Thomas gets his normal touchdown. Even Mason Taylor got on the board with a tutty this week. The defense, it was what it was. But then again, it wasn't what it had been. They finally got those stops. I I don't remember what your final score prediction was. Did you get near it?
41-35.
That's
So
close.
that is close. It would have been 42-39, if not for the pick six. But hey, the over
That's
hit. That's all that
close.
matters. Final lines, Shay, you and I both got our picks right. So final lines is back.
I had 38, 31. Billy had 45, 38. So Billy actually is closest there.
Billy wins.
You with 41, 35. So shout out to Billy for a nice pick there. Anything else as we close out here, Matty B? Kudos, look, to this defense. They took a lot of hell. Matt House took a lot of hell, all of them this past week. But in the second half, they stepped up. And I don't care. Again, I want it to be viewed in a linear way. Yes, they still allowed a couple of touchdowns, but LSU's offense is going to score more than a couple of touchdowns and a half. You just need to get some stops, and they did it.
Yeah. Under 40. Hold teams to under 40, and you win. So there you go. Auburn up next at home. That'll be a fun game to see. Auburn's kind of an unpredictable team in a bit, in some ways. But yeah, that's all we got. Thank y'all for joining us. Congratulations to LSU for getting the win for 3-1 now in conference play. And yeah, we'll be back on Monday for our Monday mailbag. If you're not already subscribed to the Bengal Tiger, you can mailbag podcast. You can submit your questions. You can interact on the board, all that stuff, and get all the scoops for all the recruiting you need. So thank y'all for joining us. We will be back, and we'll talk to y'all later.